Every March, I hear the exact same things. Oh, I didn't realize we had to do a separate business tax return. Oh, I thought that was due in April with my personal tax return. Or better yet, we're just going to extend. And guess what? Most people actually have no idea what it means when we're extending returns, whether they're business returns or individuals returns. But today, we're focusing on those pass-through returns for you business owners. What's up, guys? Mike back at it again from Ledgerly, CPA, co-founder, alongside my partner in crime, Andrew D'Amico, where we're giving you the latest tax tips, tax strategies, and also general compliance things to remember. Because, hey, it's Q1, and we want to make sure that you're on top of the ball so we can tackle it head on now and avoid these potential headaches and messes later on down the line. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for weekly videos just like this one. So pass through extensions. Let's zoom out for a second. Extensions are probably one of the most misunderstood items and tools when it comes to tax time, tax season, filing a tax return. When used correctly, they actually work in your advantage. They give you more time to get your ducks in a row, and they actually also reduce the likelihood of being audited. Cool, love that. But if they're used incorrectly or taken advantage of in the wrong ways, they can really come back to bite you, which creates a bigger problem later down the road. So if you are an S corporation owner, a partner in a partnership, or an individual, essentially anyone that says, you know what, I know it's tax season, but I'm going to deal with this later and kick the can, then this video is for you. Because an extension really only solves one specific problem, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But guess what? It doesn't solve the problem that people think it solves, deferring your tax payments. So let's get into it. What does an extension exactly do? Let's go to our green marker. Let's do a little green checkbox. Extensions. So what do extensions do? At its core, an extension really does one thing, and it gives you more time to file. And when we mean file, the actual paperwork. So for our S Corps, that means that on 3/15, March 15th, we're going to file an extension, but then we can actually file the return on September 15th. Same thing with partnerships, which is a 1065. So it's the same as March 15th, kick the can to September 15th. And then same with individuals and C corporations. We actually have 4/15, April 15th. Now we can file October 15th. And same thing with C Corps here. But today we are talking about these pass-through entities. Now, what we mean by pass-through entities is that these things are spitting out what's called a K1, and that K1 flows on to your 1040. So cool. At its core, like we see it here, gives you more time to file. That's really the biggest thing that an extension does. Also, it does decrease the likelihood of being audited. So audit risk goes down, which is a good thing. Now, let's switch over to our red pen over here, do a checkbox. And big red X, extensions do not. Now, this is where the confusion actually kicks in. Extensions do not delay you actually paying tax. So if we go up here and you have a tax liability that's due on March 15th and a tax liability that's due on April 15th, you got to pay that on those days. It does not defer the tax to the later filing date, to September or to October. No, 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 no. You actually have to make those payments on the filing deadline, which is either March or April. Now, remember, us pass-through entities, those businesses don't usually pay taxes at the federal level. They pay the state pass-through entity tax. They pay taxes at the state level. The federal level flows down to us at our 1040 level. But how are we going to know our federal tax liability without knowing our income from that K1 from that pass-through entity? So it's a domino effect. So extensions do not delay taxes owed. Those still need to be paid on 3/15 or 4/15. And you got to make sure that you have a good provision from your business return if that's where you're getting most of your income. Extensions also do not stop or pause penalties and interest. Now, if you're a first-time filer, first-time S Corp filer, first-time partnership filer, yes, there is a one-time abatement if you do forget and you're like, oh crap, I didn't realize I have to file in March and go on extension in March. There is a first-time abatement. You get a form from the IRS. Hey, you didn't file. Here's your penalty. It's like $230, $240 per shareholder, per partner, per month, plus penalties and interest. If you are a first-time filer, don't worry. You can call either us at Ledgerly or you call that number on the IRS form and say like, look, I totally dropped the ball, didn't realize it, even though it says it on your EIN letter that you need to file on these dates. I digress. But there is a first-time forgiveness penalty abatement for you first-time S corp owners, first-time partnerships. So, but rule of thumb, it does not pause penalties and interest. Now, a big reason why people go on extension is their overall books. Their bookkeeping is a mess. And look, I've said it before, I've said it again. People want to do tax strategy. We're in compliance season right now, but people want to do tax strategy. But if their backyard is on fire and they don't know the fundamentals of running a business and they have a ton of debt and they're not focusing on the key things that they need to do to get afloat, then we're setting ourselves up for failure here. The analogy I've said, hey, look, do you think I'm a Red Sox fan? Ortiz hit all these dingers just by getting into the batter's box and just freaking swinging away? No, you got to learn the fundamentals of the game, people, right? So the bookkeeping is the fundamental of running a business, whereas just making contact, hitting those singles up the middle is learning the fundamentals of the game of baseball before we can start hitting those dingers and hitting it out of the park with you, for you, with your tax strategy. So big reason why people extend is because their bookkeeping is not done. And now they need 6 more months to get their books up to date. But remember, the bookkeeping flows onto the return, onto our S Corp and partnership return. And then out of that S Corp and partnership comes our K1. And then out of our K1 goes to our individual return. So if our books are in order, we don't know what our income was. We don't know what our expenses are. We don't know what our net taxable income is, meaning that we don't know what our state tax liability is or our federal tax liability. But guess what? IRS isn't waiting for you. The state isn't waiting for you. You still need to make those payments by March 15th or April 15th. So an extension gives you more time to file, not to pay. So if you don't have these things in line at the time of your extension, then you're basically kicking the can on a big tax bill plus penalties and interest when we file come September. So if you have these things in line and you're in a good spot and you're confident about going on extension, then when does it make sense? So an extension makes sense when the numbers aren't final, K1s are not available yet, the overall accuracy of the return is too variable, and when you know what your tax liability is. You've either made that estimated payment, you already filed with the IRS and the state, made that estimated payment to kick the can for those 6 months. Now, again, we're tax strategists at Ledger Lease. We don't want to make those estimated payments, but in a pinch to go on extension, if you owe, again, IRS ain't waiting for you. That door's closing on you regardless. You ain't getting into the bar for last call. IRS is closing the door on you, so you got to make sure that you are paying them on time. So if you have your ducks in a row, you go on extension every year, you know what you're doing. You want that audit risk protection, you're making your quarterlies, you're doing what you need to do, then yes, the extension works for you. But when does it not make sense? It does not make sense if you're basically just using it to avoid the IRS or avoid the state. So if you're going to avoid IRS or state, you're ignoring quarterly estimates. Because remember, filing quarterly does not mean you're filing a tax return quarterly. You're just making estimated payments. Your books are a mess, and they always are a mess. Just like my handwriting. My handwriting is always a mess. But there's not going to be any stop with that. And overall, just uncertainty. Because when there is uncertainty every year for you, then you're in a rinse and repeat rhythm. And if you're in that rhythm, then there's zero room for someone like us, allegedly, or another strategist to come in and take advantage of awesome strategies. Because we're going to ask you, are your books in order? What's your debt picture like? Let's get those things covered first before we actually talk tax strategy. And if we can never get on top of these items here, then we're never going to go on extension and have comfort over that extension to do proper planning for you and your family. So this is when it makes sense, when it doesn't make sense. All right, so let's look at a couple practical examples here. I like to go back to the old Highlights magazine days. So let's say we got Goofus over here. He's got an S Corp due on 3/15. He goes on extension. He does nothing till September. He's got no set of books, which is piercing the corporate veil for an S corporation because you have a balance sheet and a profit and loss on that return. So no set of books. So he's already at an audit risk, and also his LLC, his corporation, from a legal perspective, is also on the line too. He's got no set of bookkeeping, missed planning opportunities, and he's under pressure. And result, taxes plus penalties and interest. Now, on the other side of the coin, we got Gallant, good old Gallant, also an S corporation owner. Cool. He goes on extension 3/15. Love it. He's got his ducks in a row. He uses the extension to finalize his books, talk to the CPA, CFO, doing all the recs, tying out the balance sheet, profit and loss. He makes an estimated tax payment. He makes one with his S corp return for the state level, and he also makes one with his extension at the federal level for his 1040. His K1 is accurate. Now, after filing, he's going to implement strategies in the following year. He's got peace of mind. Let's be a gallant, folks. Let's have that peace of mind, that clarity. Let's put that fire out in our backyard and let's focus on our future of where we're going with our business and our family and our generational wealth for the entire family. So, as we can see, Goofus and Gallant, the exact same extension, but two totally different outcomes. The difference isn't the extension. It's the strategy behind it, people. So if we can use this framework to its full advantage, then I give you the green light on going on extension. So let's tackle this framework and then let's bring it on home. Framework. Number one, taxes are still due. Like we said, 315 and 415. You extend to file, not extend to pay. Use the extension period, that 6-month window, intentionally. Use that 6 months intentionally by reviewing your books, cleaning up the prior year, doing whatever you got to do to make sure you're compliant to file in the year, and also making sure you're applying it to the current year that we're already in. Third thing is compliance does not equal strategy. Compliance is something that we need to do. Strategy is, I don't want to say is optional, because in our view, strategy is not optional, especially for maintaining that generational wealth and keeping more money in your pocket instead of giving it to the government. But during Q1, we are focusing on compliance and putting the fire out so we can go on extension in a mindful, meaningful way. Then we can focus on the strategy after we file and we put our backyard back in order. And number 4, the habit of going in and on extension can be dangerous. It can be a dangerous game, like any type of habit out there. So make sure this habit is working for you, not against you. It's got to be a good habit for going on extension. Because again, we want to be like Gallant. We want to do it in an intentional way. So let's avoid those bad habits. Let's avoid going on extension if we don't need to. But let's go on extension if it's going to be meaningful and you're doing it for the right reason. So guys, extensions can be stressful. Tax season can be stressful, but it can also be helpful. So if you're not sure if you're going on extension for the right reasons, then usually that's a planning issue, not a compliance issue, as we talked about down here. Compliance versus strategy. This is exactly where our proactive advisory program comes in. So you have that strategy all year long, so that makes compliance season a little bit easier for you. That's what makes the biggest difference. That's where you earn your hay. So we hope that this video helped break down and answer some uncertainties, some questions on, oh, I'm going to go on extension. That means I can pay later. No. Rule of thumb, when we go on extension, we're extending to file, not pay. So hope this video was helpful, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.